A Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and on the free Odyssey app.
All you need to know is that Mason's head is humongous today here on the Wisconsin. Oh, and the smelling salts are out in effect.
The salts are here.
High noon and welcome in. This is the Mason Crosby Show with me, Mitch Thunder Nellis, and Tommy TK Wirtz on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. The Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. It's a Friday. There's no Packers game this weekend until Monday night. So we're just all a little bit off our rocker today. Let's get rocked.
Yeah, we get a little bonus day. We'll get to talk Packers again on Monday before they even play. So that's nice. But yeah, we gotta dive into some stuff. I think I was looking at some wrong stats.
That's impossible.
The other day.
You know all the stats. You're the kicker.
Well, yes, that's true. I do. I love looking at stats. I love looking at data, but I saw some misinformation about this Eagles team, so I'm interested to dive into it on kind of a topic I think that we love to get into as we're previewing a game of what does this, like, who needs to step up?
Yeah.
What guy, what position needs to play well to take this team down on Monday night? So I can't wait to dive into that.
Nice. Who do you think needs to have a great game Monday night, Packers, Eagles? Mikey, Henninger going to join us at 12:20. We're going to go Basement Brewed Fantasy Football. So get your fantasy questions in as well. Hopefully, unlike Tommy, you did not start Bo Nix last night.
Hey, but shout out the Thunder. Thunder is 2-0 now.
Yeah, Thunder is
2-0.
Since we started paying attention to the Thursday under, the Thunder is 2-0.
Oh, the Thunder.
Yeah,
Yes,
the Thunder.
that's right.
We're going to talk some NBA Cup, because that's a real thing. Nick Osen from the real Nick Osen from 24/7 Sports. He's going to join us because everybody's talking Badgers right now. Like, it's a national topic, so we got to dive in as well. And of course, we just are so pro betting and gambling, especially when when current athletes can bet on their own games and games that their best friends are also playing in. It all just makes a lot of sense. So
it does make sense. Yeah, I'm glad they're allowing that.
Yeah.
We can ask Nick about it too, because the Badgers had to dismiss someone before the season, remember?
Good.
I think that there might be some sort of correlation there.
Yeah.
So
Yikes.
just keep that in mind as well when Nick comes on at 1.
But they are going to be spending more money, right? Like a huge investment into that program.
Please
All right.
don't do this right now. I need to build up to this moment.
All right, we're going to build up to
what
it.
have we been doing for the past however long? Our lives have been built for this.
We're built for this.
It's different.
All
right. Well, who needs to play well on Monday?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk more on Monday as we build up to this game. But I was looking at some stats, and I don't know if something got mixed together with some of these Eagles 2024 stats with what they were doing in 25. Honestly, I saw a mix up of those stats in my Google machine.
That's weird.
The AI must have messed up there, something crazy. So, looking at their numbers, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, defensively, they look like they're kind of average, right? I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, yeah, this year.
I don't think so.
Are they giving up 23 points a game?
Hold on.
Because I think I was looking, and I said yesterday maybe that it was 18 points a game, but I think that was last year's stat. So I don't know why. And honestly, on Google today, when I did it, they said some places have them mixed up, and they're actually throwing in their 2024 stats.
They are giving up 23 points a game, which is pretty low down.
They're average across the board.
Their run defense has not been great.
No.
Their passing defense has not been great. Yeah, they're middle of the pack defensively for sure, if that.
And then offensively, they're 30th, I think, in total offense. They just score a lot of points. They find a way to get the ball in the end zone. So this team might be one of those where bend don't break type defense. Just try to get the offense in favorable positions. For me, what I think needs to happen, and I know this is why talk about the run game? They've been running the ball at a high clip. I saw the stat where it's like most rush attempts in the league and the worst average per rush. And then they have like 20th fewest passing attempts, but the second best net yards per attempt, right?
Weird.
So it's like,
So they just go deep every time? Is that
I don't know. That's like the mindset, but I think they need to this week set up the run with the passing game, spread them out, get those guys. Tucker Kraft's not there. Let's move. Let's put a lot of receiver sets out there. But I do think this is a Josh Jacobs game. Like in my mind, I know it's like, wow, we don't want to run the ball. Let's air it out. Let's give it to Jordan Love. And I've been saying that, but I think Josh Jacobs is going to play a huge role in this game to be able to just put that pressure on this Eagles defense. I don't think the Eagles are a team that are going to they're not going to light up the scoreboard if you don't give them a lot of possessions. I think they want to control the clock. They're going to run it well. They're going to do a lot of, short game with Jalen Hurts. And then he's going to take his shots where he can. But I think Josh Jacobs needs to have one of those games where he gets 120 plus and just goes off on this defense. What do you think of that?
Is that something you can do against this defense? I mean, I think it
looks like they're giving up 120 yards a game to running back.
So you want to feed Josh Jacobs, and I have no problem with that. My concern there is that without Tucker Kraft, I think that does affect the offensive line. I think that affects the blocking. And while I want that from Josh Jacobs, I don't know that the line is good enough for that. I almost look at Luke Musgrave from a pass catching standpoint, where I think they need to not necessarily game plan and feature him, but if he's open, if they can make plays to him, they need to not say, oh, we don't have Tucker Kraft, we're going to ignore our tight ends. I think they need to lean in to Luke Musgrave's strengths.
See if he can get it going.
And see if he can get it going. I'm not nervous about Josh Jacobs. I know Tommy is a little nervous about Josh Jacobs. I'm more nervous about the offensive line just hasn't done enough consistently. Who'd we just talk to? Who said we'll have a
Aaron Nagler.
Yeah, Nagler. Yeah. We're we'll have a 15-yard run, and then he'll have 2 runs in a row where it's the exact same play, and the offensive linemen don't make the play, and he's getting stuffed for 2 yards.
Yeah, I think actually, we're talking about the offensive run game, the defensive run game is where I want to go in this one, because Devontae Wyatt coming back, it's a noticeably different defense, but he had a pretty rough game last week. And every game in which Green Bay has either lost or tied, the running backs have been a problem in that game, where you go to Quinshon Judkins having the big game for Cleveland, obviously Rico Dowdle last week, and even Javonte Williams, a serviceable day. I know it was more Dak Prescott, but they were able to run the football whenever they wanted.
He didn't struggle.
He did not, no. And so this is a team that I really feel like they're missing Lucas Van Ness more than we thought they would at this point. And it needs to be Devontae Wyatt, Rashawn Gary, Micah Parsons, that defensive front. That's where I look at it, needing to have a big game, especially when you have Saquon Barkley on the opposite side.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was going to go into the defensive side next and I was looking at Quay Walker and Edge Cooper. I mean, those two have to have big games because, yes, the defensive front is going to do their thing, and they need to limit the holes and the easy runs for Saquon. But those linebackers are going to play a huge, huge role in keeping Jalen Hurts from being able to run down the field, keeping Saquon in check, and then allowing everyone to get pressure so that he can't find Goddard. He can't find easy targets. So our actual pass rush can get to Jalen Hurts at times and maybe make him throw something up to this secondary at some point. But I think Quay and Edge need to cause a fumble. They need to do something that sparks this defense.
They need Kevin Green to say it's time. Right?
It's time. Yeah, exactly.
Are you nervous at all that they're listed on the injury report? Like if they're listed as questionable, they were limited participants yesterday. Does that give you any cause for concern, or is that it's week 8, week 9 in the NFL? All the stars are going to be questionable and be limited because we need them healthy for the game, not for practice on Thursday.
Yeah, I think with a Monday night game, that's normal. Okay, I would say. Yeah, it's these guys are going to be limited. We're just kind of, they might be tired. Their bodies just might be banged up. And it's all right, we're going to put them on the injury report just because you have to, right? If they're limited, they're going to get a little extra rehab. They're going to go in that training room, get patched up. But you have an extra day So you're not going to practice the guys every day, especially those starters.
Yeah, I mean, Nate Hobbs not participating. He's doubtful and going to be out for a couple weeks. LVN did not participate, but everybody else was limited, basically. Banks is hurt. Tom is hurt. Savion Williams, Matthew Golden, Christian Watson, all questionable, but all limited participants. So they were there. They were participating. They just weren't doing full. Micah Parsons, too. The list, you don't like to look at the quantity on that list. Like, there's a lot of guys listed on that injury report, but all that questionable limited participants. To your point, Mason, I think it's like, if we see that again today
is Thursday of a normal week, right? Like, so today is like the heavy work day of a normal week. Yesterday was Wednesday, and it was coming off of a lot. You're just kind of like, all right, we have some time. So today and tomorrow, you're going to look at that list a little closer and be like, okay, who like is full participant? They're coming off the injury report, and like we'll kind of have a clear picture. But I do add, like, you brought up Lucas Van Ness, like when do we expect him to come back?
Good question.
There's just not a lot of chatter on what obviously the severity of this injury is more extreme than I think we maybe hoped it would be, but what is the thought on his timetable?
I don't know. He it's a foot injury, and obviously that's going to affect explosiveness. It's not like a shoulder or something that you can play through if you're depending on your defensive end to get to the quarterback or to stop the run. If he can't plant on his foot, he can't really do anything. And I just think, like, but you're right. Like, it was week to week, and now hopefully, it sounds like it's more day to day, but he's still not practicing, and that still affects the defense. And it's next man up, but we've seen next man up isn't as good. Like, there's a reason they're lower on the depth chart. There's a reason they're backups, and it's Dowdle ran all over them last week, and last week wasn't a game they were going to get pressure on the quarterback. I don't know what you think, like, with a guy like Hurts. Like, obviously he can run, and that's a big weapon he has. But typically he'll drop back and pass more than Bryce Young did. I mean, Bryce Young didn't. And so is there the fear there that you're going to miss those opportunities with LVN out, or if Parsons and Coop and Quay can get there, if Rashawn Gary can get home, do you have the confidence that they're actually going to make something happen? Or is his escapability that next level?
Well, we have to also say, without LVN in there, since they've gone to like the cheetah package and like moved Micah like in different spots. Like, yes, he had a really good game. Was that against the Cardinals? That was his kind of 3-sack game, like awesome night. But other than that, I feel like his production is not as like, it's not as good without LVN in there. Like, I think because you can move him, and then you still have LVN putting that pressure on the edge, making guys be, accountable for another dynamic type pass rusher and run stopper. LVN's a big key to what this defense was able to do, I think, those first few weeks, right? Like, they came out so hot because it was like, wow, Micah Parsons. And then you had LVN playing at a really high level. So, like, bringing his name up, we haven't talked about him a lot just because it's out of sight, out of mind a little bit. But him not being on this defense is going to be missed. And like you said, with Jalen Hurts, he has some wide receiver options. I mean, Devontae Smith is having a pretty solid year, right? He's going to, he's going to find his targets. Goddard's having a good year on my fantasy team, which I'm like, do I play him? Do I not? I mean, Packers sometimes susceptible to a tight end.
Yes, they are.
If he gets 80 yards, no touchdowns, I'd be okay with that. It's all right.
414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law talking text line. 414-677-1250. Who has to have a big night for the Packers Monday night to help them out with a victory? We are also live on Twitter and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio, at WI Sports Radio. Q writes in, let's say this game comes down to coaching decisions, which team wins? And Q writes us in with an agenda, of course, because he is our resident Matt LaFleur hater.
Yeah. But I also, this is the first time that I'm not in the calling for his job boat, but I was the guy who gave him flowers saying, remember that moment when he went for it on 4th down against Arizona, right? Like, that was a positive. You got to remember these moments now in which he has not lived up to those as well. And if the Super Bowl expectations are there year in and year out for this team after making a move like Micah Parsons, if things happen later on in the season, you have to remember these moments and don't be blindsided by them, right? So I think that Q brings up a point. Now, Nick Sirianni, if you remember last year, had the very similar vibe going on in Philadelphia at the beginning of the year, in which a lot of people were calling for his job because they were not impressed with how Philadelphia looked at the beginning of the season. Well, they go on to win the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts a different level in that game as well. It's something that I can see the Packers emulating, but I understand the frustrations going on and coaching decisions. I don't know who has the coaching advantage in this game. It's a game I would love to say Matt LaFleur, but Nick Sirianni has been to the mountaintop.
Question. Do you think this is a coach-led team or a player-led team up there in Green Bay?
Coach-led.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, when we were talking about this conversation with you at the beginning of the week, you almost see that as a problem, it sounds like, Mason.
Yeah, you don't love that.
And wasn't that the thing last year? You brought up the Eagles, and that's what kind of triggered my thought wasn't there like the story where they had like a player meeting, like Jalen Hurts and those guys, like they got everybody together and it kind of spurred something on? I mean, you hear those stories all the time. And I remember times there in the locker room, it was like our best teams. And we, Coach McCarthy, we had him on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about, I just tried to implement a plan and then get out of the way, right?
Yep.
His big thing was like, it is your team. It is the locker room runs how this thing is going to run. If I have to step into these spaces and motivate you, get you to a place that like you're going to play at a certain level, like it's not going to happen. The players in that locker room have to take this thing over, and Coach LaFleur and the staff just have to see what they're doing, how they're operating, and say, we're gonna unleash you on Sundays, on Mondays. Like this is how it has to go. So I just don't know if I see that core group there in Green Bay, that it's just like, who are those guys? And I don't know if it's because they're younger, the guys they've brought in, they have some free agents, but it's like, who are those guys? Because whenever I was there, when we won the Super Bowl, I mean, we had Charles Woodson. You had Driver, who'd been around a long time. Greg Jennings had played a lot of ball there. You had Cullen Jenkins. You had Ryan Pickett. I mean, that team was deep with some like veterans that had played some significant football in the NFL. And so like there was no nonsense in that locker room. It was player-led, player-driven all the time. And then the coaches just unleashed us on the weekends.
So Mason, is that more of, hey, there needs to be players that step up, or B, Matt LaFleur needs to relinquish some of that locker room control?
I think it's a balance, right? Like maybe he feels like he has to like have like a lot of control because he's just not seeing it.
And they're the youngest team in the league. We keep hearing about it.
Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, yeah, their youth is not. I don't think that's a thing anymore with this team, right? Because like they have young players that are in like first, second contracts, but they've all been in this system and been in that building for a long time for the most part, right? So I think I think it's a combination of a coach seeing that this team won't do it a certain way because they have a way that they're going to go about their business all the time. And it's like a coach acknowledging like, okay, we're giving this thing over to the players. I'm just going to give them the tools to go out there and be successful. And I'm not sure that's how it's going up there at all times. There are moments, I feel like that second half of the Steelers game, that's what it was, right? Jordan Love goes in at halftime, is not happy, kind of has like a speech. And then that second half, it was like, let's just cut it loose. These guys are coming out ready to play.
Absolutely. I think this is a great storyline to keep our eyes on now and moving forward. Like, who is leading the charge? Is it the coaching staff? Is it LaFleur? And how does it transition over to Jordan Love and the offense? How does it transition over to certainly Micah, but I'd say even more so Quay and Edge as like kind of the leaders of that defense as well. Let's keep this conversation going as we move forward. Mikey Henninger is going to come on next. Get your fantasy football questions in 414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law talking text line. 414-677-1250. Remember, Nick Osen is going to come on and talk Badgers with us at 1 o'clock as well. I know we had some questions on the talking text line. Do we talk college sports? 1 o'clock, Nick Osen's going to be talking some Badgers, and because they're in the news and it's all really happy and gumdrops and lollipops and rainbows and unicorns and Pegasi and all those sorts of things.
Big investment going in the program.
Right.
And I think it's all coming from JJ Watt. That's what I heard.
Oh, for sure. Blank check. No doubt about it. Fantasy football talk coming up next right here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I'm Mitch Nellis. He's Mason Crosby. Ludacris is here. Yeah, what is your fantasy? That's right. That's the radio edit. Got relax. Yeah, relax. It's like, I made sure it was the radio edit. Everybody relax.
Yeah, you were like holding your breath. Like,
Tommy was a little nervous.
Just stop it at lick.
Yes,
Stop it at lick.
That's right. Joining us now is our favorite fantician. He is Mikey Henninger from. Do you like that?
Is that like a doctor? Is that or a
he's
magician?
He's a fantasy football fantician.
What's up, fellas? I'm just picturing my wife, who's a teacher in her classroom right now, blasting Ludacris. I want to. Anyway.
Let's go.
Yep.
Hey,
yeah. I don't know if Mikey likes the fantician line.
We could all use a little Luda in our lives. Come on.
Okay, he does like it. Yeah. All right.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
Well, we're getting some questions on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line, Mikey. So we'll dive into those here in a sec. But just got to, we'll talk. Let's go to the Packers game. Let's just go ahead and start with the Packers Eagles game
into Monday night.
Yeah. I'm going to just go there because then we're going to dive into my fantasy team. I'm just going to need about 15 minutes to make sure that's all set. But what are you looking at on Monday night for this Packers Eagles game? Who do you think, where's the data pointing for who in your daily fantasy type stuff you should be going after in this game?
Yeah, I would say, I forget who said it earlier. I know one of you three were talking about it being a Josh Jacobs game. I think that was Tommy talking about it.
That was Mason Crosby.
That was Mason, yeah. So the data points at Josh Jacobs. If you find one vulnerability in the Eagles defense, it's against the running back. They have been allowing the 9th most PPR points per game, the 10th most PPR points per touch. So theoretically, the idea here is to lean on Josh Jacobs as much as we can. And we've seen the Packers do it many a times over the past season and a half. So if we're looking for a weakness in the Eagles defense, it's definitely on the ground. It's definitely a Josh Jacobs style game. They're pretty mediocre everywhere else. They're mediocre against quarterbacks. They're mediocre against wide receivers. They're really, really tough on tight ends. So I might wait a week or two on the Luke Musgrave breakout, but you never know. Luke Musgrave makes for a really interesting sleeper this week as well.
Well, and Mikey, is Josh Jacobs, could you see that just being on the rise a lot more in the second half than it was in the first half, now that Kraft has gone down for Green Bay and he was such a, obviously a great option at a completely different position, but the offense was starting to run through Tucker Kraft and they were getting away from Josh, it felt like, and just getting him his obligatory touchdown every week. But now do you think his touches go up as well?
I think it's fair to assume that moving forward, Josh Jacobs will continue to be as involved as possible, especially with the weather getting colder. All of those things come into play. But I mean, he is already averaging 19 plus touches, or 20 plus touches, every single game. So the workload is already pretty high. I can't imagine it getting much bigger than that. And you got to remember, the Packers did spend that first round pick on a wide receiver for a reason. They just got Christian Watson back. Jaden Reed should hopefully come back at some point. Theoretically, they should be able to sustain the Tucker Kraft injury. And let's not forget, Luke Musgrave was drafted in the 2nd round the same year that Tucker Kraft was drafted in the 3rd round. Not that that ultimately means anything in the long run, but at one point in time, Luke Musgrave was the highest upside tight end that the Packers had in their tight end room. So hopefully he can surprise a little bit as well.
Yeah, we have a banned phrase on this show now. It's the Matthew Golden breakout game.
Touches.
Yeah, the Matthew Golden breakout game is no longer allowed to be said on the airwaves here because we've heard it 8 weeks in a row from all different people. It feels like, Mikey, and it's just never going to happen. I don't believe it.
It's going to happen. We just don't know when.
I do have him. He is sitting on my fantasy, my lineup on my bench.
Yeah, that's where he should be, Mason.
Just waiting for that moment.
I have him in a league too on my bench, and I'm just not willing to put him out.
Yeah, I'm fine. If he goes off one time on my bench, then then he kind of he earns that spot.
That's right.
The starting lineup.
Yes.
You'd rather see him go off on your bench than see him post a 0 in your starting lineup for sure.
That's right. You're listening to Mikey Henninger from Basement Brood Fantasy Football, basementbroodff.com, basementbroodff.com. If you're following along on the YouTube and on the Twitter, He set up his YouTube link every Sunday morning at 8:00. You can talk more fantasy football. YouTube.com/@basementbrewed fantasy football. For those of you who are awake at Sunday at 8:00, which should be, a good amount of you.
Well, there's an 8:30 game this weekend.
That's right.
In Berlin.
What's the early game this week?
What is
it's
it?
Colts Falcons.
Oh,
Falcons,
that's a
Colts,
sneaky good game.
Yeah, it should be.
It
Well, I mean,
No,
right.
the Falcons.
Falcons.
The Falcons.
You were high on the Falcons from the very beginning.
Yes, and they beat the Bills. They came within 1 point of tying the Patriots on a missed extra point. Like, they've played good football.
Yeah, their kicking has probably actually been their biggest Achilles heel, right? Because they should have beat the Bucks too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they had a field goal to win that thing.
Yeah, they could use
Havertz.
Yeah.
We got two. Yeah, just take one of those. Hey, who should we play? Which Packers kicker should we play this week?
Yes.
Are you asking me? Because I have no. I have.
You're
no
the
clue.
fantasy football guy. Like,
I love it.
Whichever one is active. That's the answer. But yeah, I probably wouldn't be touching Packers kickers this week.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's fair. We have some questions on the Nicolay Law talk and text line. Let's see. I can't read it.
I can read these. I know.
You read these? All right.
I
got
got you. Go, Tommy.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't prep, so
we have bye week hell from the 262 here. Usually stacked with wide receivers, but no CeeDee Lamb, no Rashee Rice, and probably no Brian Thomas this week.
And that is confirmed. Brian Thomas is out.
Do you have any solid wide receivers for this week to plug and play for a 1 week off waivers, Mikey?
Yeah, well, first of all, congrats on having that wide receiver room. That's a good problem to have this week, I would suppose. Yeah, I actually sent an email blast out to my subscribers earlier this week saying if you need a dart throw wide receiver this week, take a look at Darius Slayton. Last week it was Alec Pierce. I had Alec Pierce pegged for 1 to 2 touchdowns. He did not score, but he did have 10 plus targets and like 116 yards. So hopefully this week it pans out. I got Darius Slayton as that guy this week. He is available. I forget the number, but it's like 65 to 70% of fantasy football leagues. He should be available on your waiver wire. He's in a possible shootout against the Chicago Bears, who are just miserable against wide receivers this year. They're allowing the 6th most PPR points per game, the most PPR points per catch, which I think we've talked about on previous shows, but they're allowing 3+ PPR points every single time a wide receiver catches the football against them. There have been 11 different wide receivers in 8 games that have scored at least 10 points against the Bears, 7 of which have been able to score 17 plus. So he's got a great matchup. The game in.
Oh no, Mikey.
We need you back.
It's a tough freeze frame for him.
It's
a tough freeze frame.
Am I back?
Oh, now you're back. Now you're back. Now you're back. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, I didn't even know I was gone. I saw you guys that whole time, but hopefully you got a picture of that freeze frame. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, we'll get it. We got it. Yeah, we got it.
Well, anyway, great spot for Darius Slayton. Shootout with the Bears. Great matchup with the Bears. Hopefully it finally pans out. He's missed on a couple deep balls over the last few weeks. Hopefully he finally connects this week.
I got more running back questions here. This one sounds like an embarrassment of riches from the 509. Needs to fill 3 spots with running backs with Travion Henderson, Kenneth Walker, Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary, DeAndre Swift, and Kyle Monangai. Who are the 3 you're rocking out there, Mikey?
Dude, I'm so scared of that Bears backfield now. I was ready to go DeAndre Swift, RB2, Kyle Monangai, RB3/flex, but I don't know if you guys saw the headline in the last hour, Ben Johnson talking about riding the hot hand, and who has the hot hand right now in Chicago? It's Kyle Monangai. But they have such a great matchup. The Giants are allowing the 2nd most PPR points per game to opposing running backs. They get destroyed by running backs so if you're looking for upside, I would throw DeAndre Swift in there and just kind of hope it pans out. I'd still go DeAndre Swift over Monangai. I mean, Swift had the hot hand prior to getting hurt. The dude was balling. He was putting up 16 plus PPR points per game up until getting knocked out. Singletary is not somebody I would trust in the lineup. I've kind of forgotten some of the other. Tyron Tracy was one of them, right?
And Travion Henderson and Kenneth Walker.
Okay, Travion is. Have we seen is Ramondre Stevenson out? I haven't gone through the news.
I don't think he's out. I don't think they've said he's out yet.
Okay. If Ramondre Stevenson is out, I'm definitely putting Tre'Veyon Henderson in there. He had 15 touches last week. He's got a shootout against the Buccaneers this week. The Buccaneers are allowing the 11th most PPR points per game to running backs. I do like Tre'Veyon Henderson here. I don't trust anybody in that Giants backfield until one of them separates from another. And then Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, Seattle plays Arizona. Oh, yeah, that game looks like it'll be a little bit of a defensive slugfest. It just hasn't happened for Kenneth Walker this week. If it's up to me, I'm going Tre'Veyon Henderson and then choose your favorite Chicago Bears running back. Personally, I would go with DeAndre Swift over Monangai. You said two, right? Or did you need three?
He needs a third.
Yeah.
He needs a third one, too.
That third one, I'd probably go with Kenneth Walker. I wouldn't feel great about it, but he did separate from Zach Charbonnet a little bit last week, so the volume should be there. The Seahawks are projected to win by 6.5 points. They should be able to keep the ball on the ground. He'll get opportunities. It just might be ugly.
What quarterback matchups you got that you like this week? Which games are kind of lining up? If anyone's got quarterback questions
there's a
or
bunch
issues,
of guys on bye too. So you got
exactly.
Patrick Mahomes, your guy, is not playing this week, Mikey. In case you were wondering.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of really nice spots here. I'd say Caleb Williams. I don't know if he's available in your league, but he's got a great matchup against the Giants. The other side of that, Jackson Dart. He's more likely to be available than Caleb Williams is, but he has a great matchup against Chicago. So I would take your pick of quarterbacks in that game. That should be a shootout. Sam Darnold's in an okay spot. Jordan Love is in an okay spot. If you want to go some deeper cuts, Mac Jones is in a solid spot here if he's going to be the starting quarterback. I haven't heard anything about Brock Purdy, but I also haven't checked yet today. Justin Fields is a decent streaming option if he's going to be the starting quarterback. I know Aaron Glenn is playing that one close to the chest. He refuses to acknowledge who his starting quarterback is going to be. Marcus Mariota is a real deep cut. It's probably going to be pretty ugly for Washington against Detroit, but when you look at the matchup and look at the data, Marcus Mariota is actually in a pretty solid spot, at least from a fantasy football standpoint. Otherwise, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, Jacoby Brissett, those are all those deep cut guys that you could throw in the line.
They are.
Is Joe Flacco going to put up 40 points a week now?
Every week, right?
Every week, he's just insane.
He's
now.
the quarterback for Cincinnati.
Yeah,
They are going to be in shootouts. They have no defense. He's going to have to throw.
Yep, Mitch nailed it. That's the thing. They have no defense. He's throwing 40 plus passes a game, and when you have a chance to do that to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, you're going to score fantasy points, right? He's going to mix in the occasional interception, but yeah, Joe Flacco should easily clear 15 plus points a week, possibly even 20.
All right, I have a big picture question for you, Mikey. Mikey Henninger with us, Basement Brood Fantasy Football, basementbroodff.com. You know, what are we, 9 weeks in? So, Mason, what's your record in your fantasy league? What are you 4-5?
I'm 4-5. I've been on a 4-game win streak. I went 0-5 to start, and then I've been hot.
And you're hot, and 4-5 is in the mix. You know, so if you're 4-5 or 5-4, even 6-3, and you're feeling good about yourself, are there any you ride with your team? If you're 4-5 and you've won 4 in a row, or if you're 6-3, do you just ride with the team you've had? Or are there players who maybe other teams might be giving up on at this point? Are there guys who are on rosters that we should be looking to trade that you think are due to have a bigger second half than they've had, and maybe we can get them for pennies on the dollar?
Yeah, I would never suggest just riding with the team that you have. I would always, I'm not saying to force trades, but I would definitely suggest always every week being on top of what's working, what's not, what's fluky. Like a lot of times you can see guys score fantasy points and it's somewhat fluky because they had one catch for 60 yards and a touchdown 2 weeks in a row. So suddenly you think they're scoring 15 plus fantasy points per game, but that type of production is not sustainable. So I would always keep an eye on how the players on your roster are being used, right? If they're playing an appropriate amount of snaps, if they're getting an appropriate amount of opportunities, those are the things that pay off in the long run and overcome any sort of flukiness. Now, there's always going to be guys in your league that are worth, we call it buy low candidates, right? Guys that you can trade for, like you said, Mitch, for pennies on the dollar. Now, of course, keep in mind all of that. It all depends on your league and scoring settings and how many players in your league and things of that nature. But I know I can tell you from my own personal experience, guys that I am trying to target actively right now in my leagues is if in leagues where I don't have a tight end, basically if I don't have Brock Bowers or Trey McBride, I'm sending out trade offers for George Kittle. It's only a matter of time before he starts absolutely smashing in fantasy football, especially if Brock Purdy comes back. So he has played in 15 career games where Brock Purdy has thrown 20 or more passes, and then Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk played fewer than 20 offensive snaps, meaning they weren't in the game, essentially. So in those games where he didn't have Brandon Ayuk, didn't have Deebo Samuel, but he did have Brock Purdy, he averaged 17 plus PPR points per game in those 15 games with Brock Purdy. They clearly don't have a clear-cut wide receiver one this year. Who knows when Ricky Pearsall is going to play again? Brandon Ayuk's not going to be the same. Juwan Jennings isn't getting it done. It's only a matter of time before George Kittle starts absolutely smashing in fantasy football, and he can totally do it with Mac Jones.
All right, one more for you here, Mikey. From the 920, Rachaad White, David Montgomery, Zach Charbonnet, need one of them or two of them because DJ Moore is in his flex. So of those four, needs a back and a flex. Rachaad White, David Montgomery, Zach Charbonnet, and DJ Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I believe I saw earlier that Bucky Irving is in fact going to miss this game. And if that's the case, Rachaad White is essentially a lock. He's been a bit of a workhorse for the Buccaneers. There's nothing pretty about his matchup. I mean, the Patriots are tough on running backs, fourth fewest PPR points per game, but he's in a high scoring game. We're expecting plenty of touchdowns on both sides of the ball. He should be the unquestioned RB1. Sean Tucker might get a little bit involved, but Rachaad White's one of those guys that should be a lock for 15 plus touches. And typically those are the types of guys you want in your lineup, even when they have a tough matchup. Zach Charbonnet is not a guy that I want in there unless I absolutely have to. Forgive me, Tommy. I totally forget the other.
David Montgomery.
Charbonnet. Yeah, we're the other two backs. Yep.
DJ Moore as the flex.
Yep.
Got it. David Montgomery is in a really, really solid, let's just say he's in a solid spot this week. His matchup in particular is mediocre at best. There's nothing scary about it, but there's nothing exciting about it. But what we do like about David Montgomery this week is that the Lions are 8.5-point favorites. That suggests they should be able to manage this game fairly easily without Jaden Daniels. They should be able to put points on the board and then just kill the clock in the second half. And usually when that happens, that's when they turn around and put the ball in David Montgomery's belly. So this is a solid spot for him to rack up 13 plus touches. I like getting him in there. He's going to be a quote unquote safer floor than DJ Moore is. So if you're looking for a floor play, I'd be going with Rachaad White and David Montgomery. But if you need a ceiling, DJ Moore is going to bring the ceiling in that shootout against the Giants, who, by the way, are allowing the 8th most PPR points per game to wide receivers. So DJ Moore is in a pretty good spot this week, too.
Nice. It is basementbrewedff.com, basementbrewedff.com. Mikey, thank you so much jumping on with us every Friday afternoon. And make sure you head over to basementbrewedff.com. Make sure you check him out on YouTube as well. This Sunday morning, 8 a.m., talking more fantasy football. He will answer all your questions, get in your quick ones before that 8:30 kickoff, but also answer all your questions for all your matchups throughout the day. So, Mikey, thanks for jumping on, and we will talk to you again next week.
Have a great weekend, fellas. Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go. That's Mikey Henninger, basementbrewedff.com. Lots to get to when we come back. Remember, Nick Osen's going to join us at the top of the 1 o'clock to talk Wisconsin Badgers because it's Drama City over in Madison. This is the Mason Crosby Show.
Yep.
Oh, dang. All I can think of is screw you, Philadelphia. That's right. It's Green Bay Packer time. Rocky who?
Exactly. Get out of here.
Yeah. This is
fall down those steps.
That's right. Did you know that there was famous? All these years I've been running up these steps. I never knew there was famous art inside.
That was pretty good.
Thanks,
That was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it.
You. This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. Mitch Nels, Tommy Wirtz, and Mason Crosby with you. The NBA Cup comes to Milwaukee tonight. Let's go.
Finally, some real basketball happening. Goodness.
Love it.
Finally. I mean, something worth playing for. I mean, what are we doing? We play 88 million regular season games. The NBA Cup means something. It is for a trophy. Let's go win another one.
The Bulls are 1-0 in Group C. The Knicks are 0-1. The Heat, Bucks, and Hornets have not played. They will play tonight. Bucks hosting the Bulls and Heat against the Hornets. Don't really care who wins that matchup. But obviously, we want the Bucks to beat the Bulls, not just for NBA Cup reasons, but because the Bulls are feeling themselves right now. They started the season 6-1, kind of out of nowhere. And the Bucks, after 4-1, have lost 2 out of 3. I kind of feel like the Bucks need to get back on track tonight, regardless. And yes, I know I usually say irregardless, but I actually said it correctly this time. Regardless of NBA Cup game or not, I feel like the Bucks need to get back on track tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Because joking aside, it does matter for all the regular season standings, everything.
Yes.
So, which is, I love how that all coincides and plays together. So, yeah, I think this is one of those games where they can bounce back, try to have just a good night, get off to a fast start in the NBA Cup, go on that quest to get another trophy. And then get your seeding in the playoff race, a little bit higher, right? Because where are they now? I mean, if playoffs started today,
they'd be the 5 seed playing at Cleveland.
Gosh, they're dropping down the standings.
One thing I wanted to point out to you, Mason, it's still early in the NBA season, but in the Eastern Conference, no team has a higher point differential than 5.3 points per game. The Knicks are plus 5.3. In the West, there are 3 teams that are plus double digits, plus the Spurs are 8.3. So the Thunder, the Rockets, the Nuggets, and the Spurs are all better than the best team in the East. We've talked about how the West is way better than the East, and it's like that's just like neon lights just flashing. Seriously, how much better it is.
But is it just at the top? Like, I mean, is it just like there are like those question. 4 teams at the top that are just dominant, and the East collectively might just be pretty good?
I think that there is one player in the entire NBA that a team would reject a deal if Giannis was involved, and his name is Victor Wembanyama. And I'll just continue to believe that the West is way better, and for to have a player like that over there, and he's not even at the top, that should say enough.
Right. Like they've lost 2 in a row. They were 5-0. They're 5-2. I mean, the Spurs are becoming much CTV. No,
they're going to be good. Wembanyama is fun to watch, no doubt.
All right, Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports, one of our Badgers reporters, is going to join us next. Luke Fickell, Chris McIntosh have both signed 20-year extensions. We're here. We're stuck with them. I'm just kidding.
Stop.
But we will talk Badgers with Nick Osen coming up. He's Mason Crosby. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis. This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon.
A Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and on the free Odyssey app.
What up, everybody? So glad you're here. It's Thunder and Mason to put the flow back in your ear. That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, I did that. That's Coolio, actually. It's
That's
Coolio to put the flow back in your ear.
All right.
A little bit before Tommy's time, but he's still probably would recognize
It's
it.
a ludicrous example
It's
you
not-
just came up
oh.
with there.
Oh gosh.
Sorry.
You need a minute just to pat yourself on the back.
Take a moment.
Clever. You just need a clever pat yourself on the back.
I
for that
tried.
one.
I've been catching strays all day,
You have
Mason.
been.
I mean,
You have
just
Really?
Yeah.
it has been
People coming at you
It's
on
been a
this
Friday.
Friday.
It's a
Okay.
Friday.
get on Tommy in the
Yes.
office
Yeah.
today all day. I
It's
mean,
not your fault that you're like 17 years old. Like
Yeah.
that's not your fault.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life-
just
Life
piling
experience
on.
is real.
I mean, I got like I'm gonna
Tommy's
be
an old
20.
soul.
I'm gonna like be
Yes.
off my parents' insurance pretty soon here. Like how? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, like that's. I'm getting into this. I can rent a car
I love
now,
that that's a
Mitch.
thing.
Okay, like I don't
Gosh.
know.
Let's do it then.
I'm gonna have to
Let's
carry
do
all
it.
5 of my kids to like what 26.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Tommy, next week we're renting a car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing
sounds
it.
good.
Let's do it.
All right.
And buy some lottery tickets. Did you do that when you were
I
18?
can.
Did you do like the buy smokes and buy lottery tickets?
I
Some porn?
was able to. I was able to buy cigarettes legally twice, just so everyone remembers that. Like, because they changed
you
the
had a
law
fake ID?
when I was
Yeah,
like
exactly.
19.
What are you trying to tell us?
Oh,
And
wait, is that
then-
a thing?
Yeah, they changed it in the middle. I was
Can't
18.
self-incriminate. Can't
Well,
self-incriminate.
now I can't anymore. Like I don't.
So it was 19 and then it went back to 18?
Well, it was 18
Right.
and then it went to 21. Now it's
Oh.
21.
Oh, that's right.
So I
cigarettes
was.
is 21?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had no idea. I would have bet money was 18. I had
Smart.
no idea.
No.
It should be.
Wow. Well, it should be never. Should be illegal. Death sticks.
How many
Oh.
packs today you
Okay.
smoke,
Thanks,
Tommy?
officer. All right, relax over there. Yeah.
Health officer, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. We're going to move from Packers talk to Badgers talk, and we're going to bring in good friend of show, Nick Osen from 24/7 Sports. Nick is here to tell us why the Wisconsin Badgers have signed Chris McIntosh and Luke Fickell to 20-year extensions.
Happy Friday, guys. How we doing? Good to be back.
What's up, Nick?
Hey,
That was
Nick.
the perfect response, Nick. Thank
Yes.
you. Just tell me to be like, stop being an idiot,
Well,
basically.
yeah, I mean, Nick, we got to
No,
talk
you
about this. Like, there's now they're gonna rock another year with Luke Fickell. It sounds like. What did you make of the news there when you heard it?
Yeah, guys, quite honestly, and I appreciate you guys always having me on. This is something that, I know Pete Thamel and ESPN kind of put it out there publicly, but we had it on our site on October 16th that this was actually the expectation that was going to happen. So to be fully honest and transparent, I didn't have much of a reaction to yesterday just because we were kind of ready for this and really going into it. But obviously now that it's out there and the messaging and things, look, I understand that there are a lot of kind of differing viewpoints. And I know that, some people and fans are certainly frustrated and things of that nature. And what I would say is, and I don't mean to say, everything's been perfect by any means or to be kind of the devil's advocate, but it's an explanation that, I was able to just kind of give to some people last night. And I do think it's at least an alternate viewpoint, even if you weren't hoping that Fickell would be back or kind of some things like that. I believe that people maybe need to not necessarily kind of adjust expectations. I'm not saying that by any means, but I think that in order to kind of get that top tier coach that some fans might be looking for, I do think that this cycle would have been really tough to do it just because of some of the openings that there are. Now, you could say that really about kind of any cycle, you're always going to have some competition. That's totally fair. To me, obviously, you guys know so much of what I do is covering recruiting. And I do believe even during this tough stretch, you are kind of seeing flashes of some of that young foundation. Is that just because of the coaches? No. Did they get those guys in here? Yes. With kind of some of the things I mentioned, the financials. Now, obviously, there's been some mixed messaging going on with that. But I personally believe that has kind of played a role with some things. I think that there's going to be time for these younger guys to develop. And I also think there is kind of some, given maybe some credence and respect to the schedules and the injuries. I think a lot of things are being put into kind of context here, guys. And I understand that it is not going to be easy to flip this overnight. I 100% get that. But with the money coming in, or expected to, I should say, right, until we see it in action, if they can bring these younger classes in and get a couple premium portal ads, I'm not saying they're going to win 10 games next year, but I think you're finally going to see, hey, this is what we expected when we brought the staff in. And I'll say that if it doesn't happen, then I do think things will likely then be reevaluated.
Yeah, Nick, I agree with you. I mean, I have them picked to cover the spread this week. That's how confident I am in this team.
Yeah,
I mean, the Badgers are on the way up. No, joking aside, like, do you think this move too, like, just to obviously announce it, make sure that it's known, is for that purpose of recruiting, right? Like, all these recruits kind of sitting there like, okay, I might have some interest in Wisconsin, but if I'm unsure who the coach is going to be, that's going to change my decision. So they kind of had to make a call one way or the other. So do you think that's why McIntosh made sure to come out and just like openly say, like, we're bringing him back, let's get this thing going. The schedule next year looks a lot easier than it was this year in conference. Do you think that might have been some of the reason for the official announcement that Fickell will be back?
Yeah, Mason, I think without a doubt, I think you said that really well. Look, if you can think whatever you'd like, right? Obviously, fans can have their opinions, but however this played out, I think the timing of this was very important, right? If they were going to go another direction, I think you'd obviously want to get going on a coaching search. And for him to be back, obviously, which is what, we expected. And I understand for the reasons that, I kind of stated earlier. I think part of that is to paint an image of the rest of the season and get kind of the current guys ready to kind of understand what's going to happen in the offseason, and B, exactly for this class of 2026, Mason, which we have talked about a little bit on your respective shows on the network, guys. There are some really good players at the top of this class. I understand if you just click on 247 Sports and look at it, it's not going to pop like the last couple of classes have. I get that. But there are a few names. I'll mention the running back commit, 4-star Amari Latimer, and high 4-star Jaden Petit. Like, there are blue bloods that have been circling for these teams. There's legit money involved for players of this caliber. And, I think that it's not just going to come down to the staff. Like, I'm working the phones with some of these guys all the time, checking in, basically, hey, are you how locked in are you guys? What are you kind of looking for these last few weeks? And I think a big thing is still, Mason, some semblance of offensive consistency and production. So I'm not jumping on here to say, with this announcement, everybody's locked in and all is good. However, I actually did a recruiting reactions piece earlier this morning, and I do think it has provided a little bit of an understanding and stability to some of these young men and their families, for sure, Mason.
Yeah, we got Nick Osen joining the Mason Crosby Show. You can find him at 247 Sports or at the real Nick Osen, not the fake Nick Osen.
That's
on
right,
Twitter. The real one. And then we talked yesterday, I think it was about JJ Watt's comments, right? Like where he was like, why have you not invested, or why you own these soccer clubs, why are you not investing in the Badgers? And he just was like, they need to be better, right? And then he was like, I went and talked to the team, and then he clapped back at somebody that made a comment. He was like, I was a walk-on at Wisconsin. So I like, you kind of hit it with these recruits. Like, I'd rather them not like get these splash, the 4 or 5 stars and like go chasing all those. You might need a few of those, but be creative. Go find those players, the diamond, the guys that are going to bleed for this university, that believe in the culture, believe in what's going on, because that is the Badgers' way of having success. It is just a tough, physical football team that is going to go out there and lay it on the line. So do you think this 2026 class might have some more of that makeup? And then I want you to talk too about, this influx of money. Like, where is this money coming from? Is there truly some like more capital that's going to go into that program to help fund this and help this program get back on its feet?
Yeah, absolutely, Mason. So first off, with the recruiting aspect, it's funny. Obviously, part of what I do with 247, the ratings and recruiting. So people always track that, and we're very grateful for that. but those recruitings aren't going to be, 100% perfect with the ratings. They're just not. And so some of these guys, like you mentioned, maybe a diamond in the rough here and there, or, the Midwest physical kind of blueprint that has been established and been used here for a long time has worked. And I will note that I think that's going to be a pretty heavy focus in 2027. And they're already off to a solid start there, right? Obviously, you need these guys to commit, but I do believe that the Badgers lead for a lot of those targets. So, Mason, I think that is something that is a renewed focus. And I think that the staff would say, hey, maybe we didn't do as much of that early on. They've certainly tried, but I think that can be improved, and they're working to do so. And in terms of the money, I think a lot of it is, obviously the rev share aspect, which all of these Big Ten schools are going to get. And then you break it down, like essentially however you're going to use the allotted around like $22-23 million or so. So that is what everybody's getting. And then from my understanding, I think there is also going to be a renewed grassroots effort with some of the donors, some of the top donors, maybe like reaching out to more former alumni, hopefully, certainly in the football world. I mean, you mentioned J.J. Watt as a great example. I think that one has been interesting because he did come here and give a pretty impassioned speech. I think it was in August here in the fall. And I think a lot of guys gravitated towards it. And I saw some of his comments. I think it was on the McAfee show that, he was joking about it a little bit to kind of the response. I think everybody can kind of spend their money really how they'd like, but with the rev share, that's something that you are looking at. And I don't mean to kind of make these excuses, but when you are comparing with some of the top places, Mason, it is interesting. I just think of, I don't know, I've seen Texas Tech, Stanford, just some of these random spots where there are many, many billionaire boosters, and it is going to be tough to keep up. It's going to be an arms race, and that's why I have said at times, it's not always going to be 9, 10, 11 wins that you saw in some of these Big Ten West years, really regardless of who's the coach in my eyes. But I understood this decision. It is what I expected, guys, and I think that it's going to be, I think, better than some people think. But I know that there are a lot of fans frustrated with the season so far, and I obviously understand that too.
But Nick, I want to bring it up now with Chris McIntosh. If you go back to 2022, the expectation was they're going to be competing for championships in the future. And now they bit off more than they can chew, and they realize that's never going to happen. And we're going to go back to the same style of Wisconsin just has to be that top team in the second tier of teams in the NCAA, or they truly want to try to turn this thing around to be perennial playoff contention, being a top 12 team in the country.
Yeah, Tommy, it's a really tough, that is a tough thing. I mean, if I'm being honest, obviously I tend to be the optimist and kind of come up with these other viewpoints.
No, not you, Nick. No. Yeah.
I would probably think that, he maybe would have maybe tried to say some of what was said, yesterday in some of those press releases, maybe tweaked a little bit differently with the wins and losses aspect, because I'm around, obviously, the program. I'm very fortunate to forge relationships and check in often and do right by these folks as well as the fans. And I can tell you without a doubt that these guys are putting in every ounce of juice and time and squeeze that they have to be successful again. So I don't think, Tommy, that the desire has changed or the work ethic or anything. However, in this kind of weird era of consistent messaging and, updates and social media, I understand what you're saying, because the actual words have changed a lot from the 2 or 3 years ago when that was said. So do I think that the actual desire and thoughts have changed? No. Is it probably a more uphill battle than people expected? Yeah, I think that's definitely happening, and fair to say. And Coach Fickle has talked about it being even not quoting exactly, but harder at times, or a little bit more of a challenge with things than expected. So I think you have to keep all that in mind, Tommy. But I will say this, right? We're going to see a lot more. We will know a lot more in the next 3 or 4 months. And I mean that because there's obviously this portal period and as well as player retention. And they have to be able to spend to get a couple premier players and bring back so much of this foundation of youth that I have been talking about, right? Because it doesn't matter if these guys don't end up staying here and finishing up here, because they're going to need that for the Badgers. So I think they're going to do a nice job with that, but I understand why you're asking kind of some of these questions. And it's something that, we're all going to be watching very closely here because as we know, next year is kind of the year to really have your eyes glued and see, hey, is there progress or not at this point?
Yeah.
And by the way, I think that there will be, but you're right. You talked about the schedule earlier. I think Mason did. Is it like this year? It's not. But it's still not just going to be easy by any means.
Right.
Well,
right.
it's not going to be easy because they're not good. I mean, you look at the Badger team from 10 years ago, and this is a pretty easy 9-3 schedule next year. But we're not looking at that team from 10 years ago. Like it's a team that almost needs a complete rebuild. So winnable games aren't winnable anymore.
Right.
And I'm just concerned. I guess my question, Nick, would go to you. And I know we've had issues years and years and years and years and years. Every year the starting quarterback gets hurt. Is there a quarterback solution? Because if there's no quarterback solution, none of this matters, right? If there's not a quarterback who's coming in to be the number one guy who's going to make a difference for the Badgers, your football team is irrelevant. Your football team doesn't matter. Is there a quarterback solution for next year?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mitch. I don't mean to kind of avoid it. I think if I'm being quite honest, it's something that there isn't a clear-cut answer in this moment. I think that there's going to be some talent within the room to come back and compete. But I think that's obviously a position that you're seeing. You don't need to just upgrade, but it seems like you almost need to doubly upgrade, if that makes sense. Obviously a potential starter, but then bringing in guys that if healthy, you can trust and kind of go get on the field right away and their chances, because there has been this crazy string of injury luck there. And I don't really know, that does seem like a lot of bad luck, but you are spot on. I mean, the more that you watch college football and watch these teams, you can be playing really anywhere in the country. But if you don't have a respected head coach and a quarterback that can win you games, it's going to be really, really tough, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the recruiting process, right? It's like you want to get receivers, you want to get guys to come play here. You got to have that star quarterback, and you got to have the blueprint that says, hey, I'm going to go and be successful in this spot. And they just haven't been able to do it. And injuries, stuff like that. I think on the finance side, and we talked about this a little bit, these kind of mid-tier programs where it's you got to kind of sometimes entice some people too. Colorado, my alma mater, is one of those as well, right? Where you have to have this charismatic, something to draw people to it. Colorado got prime, and that's what they did. But I think with alumni, especially former players, I think of a Joe Thomas or, a JJ Watt or whatever there at Wisconsin, where it's throw some money actually at them and say, you be our liaison to bring in player alumni and bring in the money from that. Because I think that creativity and that buzz and that excitement is what a lot of donors want as well. It's cool to say I'm giving money and donating to help this program. But I think a lot of people that have all that power and that money, they also want the energy and the excitement that comes from it, rubbing elbows with certain people, doing these things. So I think that's where these organizations, especially like in Wisconsin, needs to get more creative. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, Mason, I actually think that's something that has been talked about, or at least kind of similar things that need to be changed. But I've never actually thought about that exact role. I think that is really, really well said. And you're exactly right. You know, like the people that do put in money, yeah, obviously they care about the product. And, you know, some people like having kind of their names or first names, last names associated with some things. But that rub and elbows aspect is very real. And I do think that at times can also help bring in more money during tough times. So I think that is really, you know, good to say. I just don't know who exactly that would kind of be. You mentioned a couple of absolute legends in their own roles. You know, I'm not sure if I would see kind of one of them doing it. Do I think that is something that could help? Yes. I mean, there are some things that need to be improved, but as we know, guys, like winning does cure all. So as you look and get ready for next year, I think that a lot of kind of the questions and thoughts would be maybe pushed to the side or at least quickly improved if you just simply see probably 8 or 9 wins on the field.
Do you see a bump this weekend? Let's just go direct to, kind of like for current what's going on. Do you see, like, with this news with McIntosh coming out and just saying, all right, Fickle's going to be back next year? Do you see any kind of like energy bump in that for this team? And like, we might see a better showing against Washington. Obviously, they played a good game against Oregon, best game of the season probably. Do you see something like that happening this weekend against Washington?
Yeah, Mason, I'm glad you mentioned the Oregon point, because I do think, with kind of the injuries and disparity in talent levels at times, they played actually a solid game. B plus type of game did the Badgers. So I'm not sure you're going to see that, just because I'm not sure that the energy and belief has really ever been an issue, if I'm being quite honest.
Okay.
It's something that I've said before that I think those guys are still pretty consistent with. Do I think that there's going to be a bump in terms of opportunities for the young talent, though? I do. I do think now that this news is out there, you're looking to win games and you're looking to then build the foundation going forward, Mason.
Very nice. Appreciate you, Nick.
Let's quick basketball update.
John Blackwell's awesome.
Yeah,
right?
John Blackwell can fill the basket.
We'll definitely have to talk some more hoops the next time, but yes, he can. Nick Boyd did, obviously 21 points. Blackwell 31. Badgers look to get to 2-0 tonight against an NIU team. They can score a little bit. They hit 100 earlier this week, but Badgers are, I think, 29-point favorites. So should be 2-0 going into next week, guys.
So you're feeling positive about the basketball program as of November 7th?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Will Hunter Simmons have more completions or John Blackwell have more threes tonight versus tomorrow?
Wow.
Well, I'm not so sure, Tommy, that it's going to be Simmons. I think it's, Danny O'Neal's in the mix. I think you're going to see a little bit of Carter Smith this next month.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I don't think I'd bank on Simmons this weekend, probably.
Okay, so John Blackwell, that's the answer. Got it. All right, perfect.
Nicely done. Nick, thank you so much for jumping on. We will definitely talk down the road, and keep up doing the great work there in Madison. And when we get our Badger updates, we know it's from you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
You
right,
as
thanks,
well.
Nick.
Thanks,
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah, Nick Osen, 247 Sports. The real Mason, the real Nick
real.
Osen. Yes.
The real.
Yep, for sure.
He's always so happy.
Got to put that. Yep. He's positive.
He
I
is.
can feel every time he's on, I feel Tommy just like kind of like his
I
whole being just kind of shrinks in. He's like,
I had a two ends of the spectrum going for 1 o'clock today, and Nick was the guy who got back to me. Always love when he gets on, and I know he can talk everything Badgers. But I tried to get negative to this part.
I actually wonder.
he didn't let you go
No.
there.
If Nick and Jocko got in the same room, because they're both so Badger positive that it's like, I wonder, like, would we be drinking the red Kool-Aid if we got the two of them together in a round table?
No,
I like it. I like the positivity.
No, I know you do.
Yeah.
It's
I'm here for it.
The speaking of the positivity, the NCAA has tested positive for illegal gambling over and over and over and over again. Let's keep that going. Oh,
You can have another rhyme for us when we come out.
No, maybe. You never know.
Okay. All right.
It is Friday. I feel like Rebecca Black might be on deck.
Perfect.
This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. Rebecca Black bringing us in on a Friday. It feels like a Friday. It tastes like a Friday. Mason, it's like beautiful here today. And tomorrow, I feel like winter comes. Tomorrow, I was looking at like for the Badger game, like high of 41, mostly in the high 30s with rain, potentially snow mixture. Are we hoping that it's a little bit colder so that we get snow? Because rain's the worst. By the way, breaking news, snow. I think I'm going to the game.
Nice. You're not wearing that jersey, are you?
I'm not, no. Do I wear I'll wear my Ron Dane jersey.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. Tommy, I think I'm going to the Badger game tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That'll be great. Fun. That'll be so much fun.
I feel like it's really
just
good.
Like where front row seats available.
No, but I do have a ticket with an outdoor seat, but that has I can go into the field house for food and drink.
Very nice.
No booze, but like food and drink, so I can go inside.
I think for the first
I saw
time,
that the Wisconsin Badgers are like they spend the most on alcohol.
They were, and then the report came out that report was wrong, and they were actually like fourth highest.
It was kind of embarrassing.
You can't even win for alcohol, and we're Wisconsin.
Sorry, Tommy, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think for the first time, ticket prices at Camp Randall, like Mason Crosby, might be able to buy every single seat in the entire stadium. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I think you probably could.
It's like $120 tickets for $20 right now.
Yeah, they're way low. Right. Yeah. It's not good. Wild. So, do we want to get into
business ethics
right now? Because
it is Friday.
It's Friday, so we usually go
and everybody home are happy.
Go off a little bit here, and this came out earlier today, and right before we came on, actually, the NCAA has now banned 6 more college basketball players after gambling investigation reveals game fixing at 3 schools. Jeez. Players from Arizona State, New Orleans, and Mississippi Valley State were all involved in unrelated cases on top of it too. So this is a problem that continues to spread, and it's not just one organization or crime family involved in all of this. Everyone now is seemingly a victim and continues to get into these gambling allegations. Day
Hunter, Daquavian Short, and Jamon Vincent, who played for New Orleans last season, manipulated their performance for betting purposes in 7 games, according to the NCAA. In all 7 games, they allegedly lost or attempted to lose by more points than the spread at sportsbooks. 2 players at Mississippi Valley State, Donovan Sanders and Alvin Stredick, were offered money to throw a January 6th game against Alabama A&M. They were overheard throwing a game in December against Tulsa as well. And former Arizona State forward B.J. Freeman was found to have shared information with a former teammate who was betting on Freeman's performance at a daily fantasy site. Yeah, this is a good idea to let Kurt.
Let's let them bet on. They at least will be able to bet on professional games. Like, it's like none of this will ever cause a problem, right?
No, not at all.
Like you just said. A friend was betting on their games. Right. Like, I mean, you're literally going to have a NFL, an NBA player telling their old college buddy, "Hey, I'm like this is the line," and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to put $10,000. Just go under that number or whatever." Like the under is probably easier, right?
Yeah. I assume the conversation starts off like,
I award you no points,
and then they just don't cover the points ever in that one, because I really don't understand how I didn't think of this, and Mitch Nellis brought it up when it was that case on like how professional college athletics has become, and now with that jump of, hey, Arch Manning could ask Matthew Golden how things go at the professional ranks, but it doesn't even need to be on that case. Like they have a problem within their organization. And now it feels like maybe the lowest amount of integrity people have had for pro sports in quite some time, Mason.
Yeah. I mean, it's a disaster. Like the fact that people are fixing games and like doing all of this, manipulating scores and all, like it feels so dirty. Like I don't like the just how dirty all of that feels. Like let's clean it up. Let's take it out of it.
Mace.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, okay, yeah, like I know the money that's involved. I know that like all the gambling space, it's it makes it exciting. But as players, as athletes, and again, that's why you get paid, right? That is why you get paid to be a professional. I think that's why those dollars in the NFL, the dollars in professional sports are going up so much. It's to try to avoid this type of thing, and it's gotten really bad.
And additionally, all three cases involved lack of cooperation by student athletes who knowingly provided false or misleading information to investigators. As a result, the sports betting violations by the student athletes all violated ethical conduct rules, triggering permanent ineligibility for all of those named. BJ Freeman was at ASU last year, and he was second on the team in scoring. He averaged 13.7 a game, 3.9 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. He was on his way to going to UCF, I believe, for this upcoming season, only to learn that he would never play college basketball again now, ultimately. This is now, I wonder if the NCAA knew this and that's why this was being delayed. Like, how involved were these investigations before the decision to delay it? But if they did have an idea, it says that they kind of caught wind in September, it felt like, which doesn't make sense either because the college basketball season wasn't going on until then.
Yeah, who's
right?
like whistleblowing on this too, though? Like, it's like who,
Good
the
point.
conversation around it or whatever. Like, these are like the New Orleans and the Mississippi Valley State. Like, these are small schools, right? These are not big.
But somebody's,
big programs.
I think somebody's monitoring because like the Mississippi Valley State guy, like they were offered a bribe. So somebody was involved in a
that's what it
sting or
was.
something.
Yeah.
Well,
Arizona State was probably the algorithm.
and so that's actually reading a little bit more into it. The Freeman case, which was brought to their attention in September, like I said, they uncovered his infractions while looking into a different case tied to Fresno State basketball player Michael Robinson last year in November and December. So they just continue to find more red flags as the investigation continues to go on. And I feel like we're not even close to being done. Like,
Right.
there's a new story
Right.
every day, it feels like, in this space.
Is that how it works too? Is like, now that they've caught and have this information, like they learn as well, like what to look for, right? And like how these things are coming down on the players, how they're gambling, how they're setting these things up. So every time another person gets in trouble, it adds to like who might else be involved, like who else is involved in this, right? So it's just going to keep trickling down. And yes, I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I would say these smaller schools are probably more involved in this than some of the bigger schools,
because they think nobody's watching, right?
Yeah, it's like nobody's looking at this. Like, we can do whatever we want.
So not to totally change topics, and I want you guys to get back to this one. But Mason, I don't know if you saw the Dana White UFC
I
story.
was going to bring that
Yeah.
up. Yes.
I mean,
did
so
not, no.
so there was a guy who was a huge favorite, and he went down in the first minute. He got choked out in the first minute. Dana White, literally as it's happening, calls the FBI on his guy.
What?
It says, because there were rumors that there was nefarious behavior beforehand.
Jeez.
So he went to his guy. He said, "Is something up?" And the guy was like, "Nothing's up. I'm going to kick this guy's butt." Then the guy goes down in the first minute, and Dana White literally calls it. And so he's been meeting with the FBI nonstop for the past 2 weeks, it sounds
Wow.
like, with like trying to figure out, like, was this legit? Was this, because Dana White doesn't, I mean, he knows how much his sport depends on gambling money.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
he can't go down. So he's trying to stay ahead of all this with the FBI, so they're not on him.
Yeah, I mean, like, sports will cease to exist if it becomes that corrupt, right? Like, if it becomes a thing where nobody can trust it, and that runs dry. Like, at what point does that happen, right? Where it's just like, okay, like, nobody trusts that these athletes are actually playing the games. There's just other like ulterior motives around it,
Mm-hmm.
Tommy,
and that's a concern because, like, I'm always wondering, like, when does that bubble pop?
Yeah.
Where like the money, the sports, they get to a certain point where it has to burst at some moment if that becomes a norm in the sporting world.
Tommy, what did you think of that UFC? Because I know you're a bigger MMA fan than I am. Probably.
It was something that everyone like kind of raised an eyebrow from, because the guy is like a very good wrestler, right? And he totally had a double leg that he half-assed his way through after it, and everyone already was like, "What was that?" when it happened. And
And
then,
the gambling had come in beforehand,
Right,
so they had
yeah.
already flagged this match. So they were watching it.
Yes, Dana White, when he came out, he spoke. I think it was a couple of days after the story broke. He finally broke his silence.
Like it felt like surprising, like why people were betting on this guy.
Well,
because
he
it's
knew.
like,
Yes, so they work with a company that actually detects this stuff. It's like a fraud-esque company, if you will, where instead when there is like a large amount of betting coming in on a fight on one line, maybe for an underdog or something, it will get flagged. So Dana White, like Mitch said, had known that this was a flagged fight going into the fight. And Dana White tried to approach him and say, yo, what's going on with this? And he was like, no, I'm going to whoop this guy. No problem. Then when that fight happens and you see how it happens and how quickly he went down in this fight, then it was a problem. And like Mitch said, Dana White he's already held his purse. Like he's not going to let him get paid on all of this yet. And he immediately called the FBI.
I think one of the casinos
applaud to him.
refunded-
I mean, that integrity. I love that.
Well,
I mean, I love
one of the
that from
casinos
Dana White.
refunded some of the bets, didn't they?
Well, right. And I mean, meanwhile, in all of this, Dana White has a documentary coming out about his gambling habits. Like this is
Sure, but
this
I
is
like in
different.
his mind, he's like, I want it to be like if you're going to gamble, I want it to be like legitimate, right?
Right. It is.
Like you don't want it to be like skewed by somebody in the arena. Yes. And this is a tough space too, because it's like, I'm always a proponent of like these athletes, like the players on the field are people as well, right? But when you sign up, you don't have to be an MMA fighter. You don't have to play these sports. You sign a contract and you're saying like, I will have integrity and I will play this sport and I will not alter the game for betting purposes, right? So, yeah.
I think that it
So
goes
messy.
on just so much more than even is reported on top of it. And I have some sort of theory on, they probably know more too, and they're just not ready to release it all to the public. Like,
They're already releasing a lot.
right. And I get that. But I just think like it could really crumble sports in a way if we knew all the information, right? And how involved things are. And have people come up to Dana White in these situations to say something. And he had to say no, or have people, he also got very upset. There was a handful, I don't want to say a bunch, but like 3 or 5 fighters who then went out and said like, not surprised, I've been approached about something like this. And Dana White is like, what the hell? Like, you didn't tell me
Right.
you've
Why
been
aren't you
approached
telling-
by
You
this
need
stuff?
to, you need to bring that right away.
So
right?
it seems like that's a problem going on in the UFC right now. We obviously see what happened in the NBA and now college basketball, and all of this. Meanwhile, right. Maybe we should just let them go ahead and gamble on pro sports because of all the fixing they're doing in college
why not,
sports.
right?
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
So, yeah.
I will say though, the like football world would be much harder to fix than some of these basketball, some of these other sports, right? Like I do feel like football being an ultimate team game, like unless it's the individual stats, like
Right,
if
that's
you're
the
like,
thing.
I'm
Yeah.
going to get under, 45 or 55 rushing yards, as a running back, somebody gets a hold of you. You're just like, I'm done after I get 50 yards.
Right.
Like you just
Did
literally.
Matthew Golden against the Cleveland
Oh,
Browns
stop
have
it,
the
guys.
under,
Stop
and that's
it.
why he went out of bounds? I don't think that happened, but that's going to happen.
But that stuff,
Right, I don't
like
think-
and
I
now
don't-
everything is going to be looked at
Right,
too, and it
right.
like it kind of just muddies the water.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh my gosh, like that guy went down or he like did
Yeah.
something, and
I
it's
don't
like, oh, he
believe-
dropped that pass.
I don't believe Matthew Golden went out of bounds on purpose for the
Thank you,
record.
thank you for
Yes.
saying that
Yes.
on record.
If
But somebody's going to.
If you
Like-
want to gamble on sports, the only words I have for you.
And may God have mercy on your soul.
That's
as
right.
as it's going right now.
Mason's extra points. Let's wrap things up. Let's wash ourselves out of this business lack of ethics and get into Mason's weekend ethics and Mason's extra points coming up next here on the Mason Crosby Show.
Oh yeah.
What's on Mason Crosby's mind today?
Now I'm thinking.
It's time for Extra Points, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis. On the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is Friday. We are looking at the weekend, and really appreciate everyone joining the Mason Crosby Show this week. It was a great week, guys.
It was.
Great week.
Make you coaching?
Not coaching anything over the weekend. I will be coaching basketball again on Monday nights. I got my whistle, got my dry erase board. I got everything. I'm ready to roll. We were out on the front porch this morning before the bus came with Christine. Doing some drills. She wants to figure out how to dribble between her legs more. So, we were working on some things.
Do you have any betting lines?
She loves calling me coach.
Whoa,
I'll give you some odds once the games come.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
So we'll see where the money's coming in, and then I'll make my coaching decisions, as I get a feel for this team. But
nice.
Been a good week. Going to be a fun weekend. Playoffs start for Brentwood High this evening. So hopefully the weather holds off and they get rolling.
Playoffs.
Yeah, how many weeks have Wisconsin been in? 3 weeks in.
Week 3 is tonight. Whitefish Bay is the 8th seed. Has already knocked off the 1 and the 4. And so they are playing tonight at Greendale Martin Luther, I believe. So that's the one we're keeping our eye on. I'm sure there's big matchups all around the community as well. All over the state, actually, as part of the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I am watching Whitefish Bay because that's where my daughter goes.
Hey, well, shout out to some of my good friends up there in Green Bay. Now that everyone up in Green Bay can hear us, all the time.
Rob Hall.
You met the Hansons, didn't you?
Of course.
So Mark Hansen and Marissa Hansen's son Lars was up for Defensive Player of the Week.
Whoa!
So and he's a sophomore playing a lot of defense there at Bayport High. So,
nice, love Bayport.
Good program up there. So congrats, for that honor and good luck in the playoffs. Texas. So my hometown down there in Georgetown, Texas.
G-Town.
I guess they're finishing up their regular season this week.
Well,
so
weather,
everything changes. I like the difference in the seasons. But what do y'all got going this weekend?
Bucks are 4.5-point favorites tonight.
It's the NBA Cup. With Giannis there, they're going to bring it for the NBA
and then
Cup.
back to regular season on Sunday. The Houston Rockets and Kevin Durant and his big feet are in town. So we'll see how that goes for the Houston Rockets. I'm going to Madison tomorrow, I guess. I just figured it out today. I'm going to the Badger game. So
are you going by yourself?
No, I'm going to my buddy Aaron. We were undergrads together, and his boys are coming. So I'm just going to eat my face off because that's what I do. I'll tell you guys on Monday what the best thing is I had. Because I know that's the most important part.
It is what is your game day food?
Well, I don't know.
I'm interested in that.
I'm interested to see what they have on their spread. because there's a whole spread that they
in
set
the field
up.
house. Yeah. So, okay. Do they do it for what's Washington? Is it what's Washington?
No, I don't think they do.
That's what they do in Green Bay.
Yeah, they do the other team theme.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when New England comes to town, it's all clam chowder.
Yeah. Molly always loved whenever it was like an East Coast team, and she'd get oysters. Yes. And they'd have all those seafood dishes. Was always awesome. One of her favorites.
Tommy, what do you got?
She was so bougie.
Yeah, she's Molly Crosby.
Yeah, exactly.
Tommy, what do you got going on this weekend?
Nothing crazy, but I would like to say I fit in this shirt now. Haven't fit in this shirt in a little bit.
Tommy's killing it right now, Mason.
Treadmill king.
I mean,
not just treadmill, but his diet has changed.
I'm proud of you,
Tommy is on one right now, Mason.
We're trying. We're trying now.
No. Do or do not. There is no try, and you are doing, my friend.
Yeah. We're not hopeful. Hope's not a strategy.
That's
You're
right.
just out there working. You're putting that work in.
Ask Mitch if hope's not a strategy tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
At 3, yeah, exactly. We'll see how that goes. He's Mason Crosby. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. We are the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers in the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go get him, Mace.
Go Badgers.
Go Buffaloes.
And Buffs.
Tom Brady
Go
Bowl.
Buffs.
The Tom Brady Bowl.